Yes, good afternoon from Amsterdam and good morning from.
Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, very nice on the other side. Um, Welcome again to our daily meeting, in which the intention is to present you extraordinary people that inspire me, and with the intention to inspire you and offer you ideas to thrive during this period. And I have a wonderful sister of mine from the other side of the Atlantic, and it's Allyson Hawkins Ward. And we're gonna talk about some skills that super women need in order to be more effective at work and at home. Now it's at work at home, but and while keeping their sanity. And Allison not only survived corporate America, she used to work for IBM as a woman, but flourished. And she has led marketing and sales teams of more than 100 people, driven more than 30 million in sales in a year, while divorcing a narcissist husband and raising two daughters from toddlers. And she figured out how to save money over 200,000 for her girls to dollars to go to college, even when her ex was not very cooperative in paying child support. And when things seemed at their worst, Allison knew that there was more, and she added to her toolkit of skills. And became one of the 100 elite trainers that are active for Tony Robbins. And additionally, yoo-hoo, she found and married the husband, the man of her dreams. And now Allyson guides women to reconnect with their power, overcome their obstacles, and realize their dreams. She's the best-selling author of the book Please Don't Come at Home Except for a Visit, a guide to creating independent adults. So welcome, Allyson.
Thank you, Catalina.
We have here a tradition. We start with a centering uh, exercise, ritual,
Beautiful.
however you want to call it. And today we're gonna do 3 deep breaths, and on the out breath, just in your mind, saying, I am present. Yes?
Okay, I'm ready.
So, and then also for whoever wants to join us. I am present.
I'm present.
So, sister, let's do this.
Sounds good.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Okay, super women. How do we keep our sanity? How do we do everything? Let's talk about some skills that are crucial on this.
Yeah, I would say, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And it's great to see your smiling face. And I think so many women need this. They're sitting at home trying to adjust to this new normal. And it's great that you're doing this. I know you're helping a lot of people. So kudos to you, first off, Catalina.
Thank you.
Um, I think one of the things that I recommend to my clients that's been very helpful is the idea of creating routines and structure to their day.
Yeah.
We're all looking for some certainty
Mm-hmm.
where there is no certainty, right? Everything that we know has gone away.
Yeah.
And, you know, just a few short weeks ago, right? 2 months ago, we had our routines. We got up in the morning. We got our kids ready for school. We got them out the door. We drove to work. We got our cup of coffee. Whatever those routines are that supported us, they give us the structure that we have come to rely upon. And
Yes.
now all of those things have gone. So, one of the most effective things that we can do is to put that structure back into our lives. It's going to look different, but we're going to feel more empowered when we feel like there's something that is in our control. So, yeah, God.
Plus, our brain, it's gonna say, "Yay, something else, something new."
Right.
Even if we consciously don't agree with it. But actually, deep down, we all need to recreate new structures, change, bring
Absolutely.
the uncertainty, the surprise element.
Absolutely. And especially for those of us, because oftentimes I will work with women who are what I call solo parenting. That
Yeah.
might be because they're single, it might be because their spouse is, off in the military or just otherwise unavailable. But then there's some special challenges that those women have to be confronted with. And I was those women, right? So I know it well. And when we set the tone for our house, our attitude greatly impacts our children. So
Yes.
if we have a system in place, if we get up at this time, we put the breakfast on the table the same way we used to do, right? Even if we're not going anywhere, we do those same things. It gives our children a sense of comfort. And they
Yes.
absolutely take their cues from us. So that routine, whatever your routine is, just you need to have a routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing as part of that routine, I see a lot of memes going around on Facebook and on I don't watch Twitter, but other social media of this whole idea that, as if showering is optional and getting dressed is optional. And I would
Mm,
say that is a big no-no. And
yeah.
the reason is again, it's like this as well as I do, we have to make sure we're in the right state, right?
Right.
And by getting dressed and getting a shower and maintaining some normalcy, that alone will help you to feel better.
Yeah. And I'm curious because it's different when you have small children at home versus when you have teenagers.
Yeah,
What's your own take? Is you raised two teenagers? Well, they are now adults, young
yeah,
adults. How do you deal and you persuade teenagers to
yeah,
create their own routine to get off to get out there from their pajamas and so and
yeah.
do the work?
So the really important thing, a couple strategies I would recommend. The first thing is if they don't get coursework done or they're not working at the level that they're accustomed to, so what? So it just isn't a big deal. So don't make yourself crazy. That's the first thing I would say. This too will pass. Universities, when they're considering this, they're going to know we had a pandemic, right? And so don't make them crazy. And more importantly, don't make yourself crazy.
Exactly.
That would be the first thing
Exactly.
I would say, right? The
Hmm.
second thing is the thing that we've done in my house, even now, because actually two of our four daughters have returned home with us. And the first thing that we did is we sat down because it was a new normal for all of us. They weren't, one of them works in another city. I mean, she's an adult, right?
Yeah.
But we know that to make the whole thing work well for all of us, we need to have some agreements, some, if you will, ground rules that we all
Yeah.
agree to. And even if you have teens, particularly if you have teens, you want to hear their voice. Once through this age, in fact, I write about it in my book, you have to change your relationship from that of supervisor to that of trusted advisor. So it can't always be do it this way because I said so. You want to gain consensus. So
So
using that
from
kind of a
supervisor to trust advisor. I really
trusted
love this.
advisor, absolutely. Just like
Trusted
and you
advisor.
in the consulting environment, that's the role. If you're in
Yeah,
sales or consulting, you want to be seen as a trusted advisor.
of
Well,
course.
at some point with your teams, you want to assume that same role. Okay.
Yes.
So one of the ways to do that is, okay, let's sit down and say, how are we going to operate? What are our kind of rules going to be about how we're going to operate? And get their input. So you might come up with something that says they're going to have their own goals. They do have schoolwork to do. They might be athletes and they need to work out on a regular basis to keep in shape. What are they might be musicians, they need to play the piano or a violin or whatever so many hours a day. They know what they need to do. And it has to be born of them. So I would say, okay, great, sit down and essentially coach them and ask them, what is it that you want to do? You tell me how many hours a day you're going to practice your violin. You tell me what exercising or stretching or running or whatever you're going to do to stay in top shape so you can continue when school starts again. What academics do you need to do? Agree to those, right, with their buy-in. That's the thing a lot of parents don't do. They tell them. That doesn't work, especially in this
No,
environment.
no.
So once they've agreed, then come up with a schedule. Their schedule might say, you know what, I want to sleep until 10 o'clock. And that's okay. So long as
As
they
long,
have right? So long as they've decided what they want to do and you've
yeah,
agreed to it, you can all live with it, Have at it. Sleep till 10 o'clock. If that meets your objectives, we need to let go of our expectations and how we would
And
do it.
full control, full control. And
Absolutely.
what to do if they say, "Oh, I'm gonna do it," you have the buy-in, and they don't do it.
Well, if they don't do it, like in life, there are consequences, right? So some consequences might be, let's say there's somebody, you've got a kid who likes to play video games, video games are great. And honestly, this is one of those times now where traditionally I would say limit them to so many hours a day, that kind of a thing. That goes out the window. There's a lot of hours to fill. Honestly, they'll probably get more tired of it if you just let them play and play and play and play. But you cannot play until you did these things you said on your list. After that, if they want to play 6 hours in a row,
Yes,
your job is to
yes.
just, if they've done what they needed to do, so that might be a consequence. There might be some other consequences, but I'm just thinking like video games or somebody on social media, because you can spend hours on TikTok. That's where everybody wants to be right now. That's
Yeah,
great. You can do
yeah,
all the TikTok you want so long as these things are done. So you come
right.
up with agreement, you get very clear on the consequences before, and then what's super critical is once you define the consequences, you need to enforce them. That's
Yeah,
the other thing I commonly see people don't do. They come to an agreement and they don't enforce those consequences.
yes,
That will not
yes.
serve you, and it will more importantly not serve your
And
kids.
on long run, absolutely, because they do what we do. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So that's one of the things to keep sanity as super women, being mothers. Just release the control, focus on the trust that you create with a kid, teenager, or whatever age it is. Make sure that you have a clear agreement, reinforce consequences, and let go, right?
yeah, yeah. And the other thing I would say too, all those absolutely. The other thing I would say too. So my youngest daughter is a little bit older now, and so
Mm.
this situation I'm going to share a story with you might not be exactly the same for somebody with
Hmm.
a teen or a tween, but I think the principle applies. So it was her plan to go to Mexico for spring break. And it was right as things were starting to unfold. Travel hadn't yet been shut down, but things were starting to look like they were pretty serious. And she calls me and she says, Mom, my travel companion, my girlfriend, her mother called and said she can't go on the trip. What do you think I should do? And I said, well, I don't think you should travel by yourself. And she says, well, what were you going to say if she didn't say no? What would you have told me to do? And I said, you know what, honey, I've been thinking about it. You were 20 years old, and I think you should make that decision. I think because at some point we have to allow them to make their own decisions, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And she says, okay, but I want your input. What would you tell me to do? And I said, well, you know what? What would happen if you were unable to get back? Right? What would you do? What would that look like for you? So I helped her to think it through. But the thing that we have to do is we have to empower our children to make their own decisions.
Right.
Right?
And ask the high mileage questions,
Correct.
because then
Correct.
they basically coach themselves in a way.
Correct. Exactly. And that's such a great point, Catalina, because it's not like when I say make your own decision, I'm not just like go off and do your own thing.
Yes.
As you say, I'm going to ask questions. Well, what do you think will happen if this happens? What prevents you from doing it a different way? Like all of those questions so that they can think through. That's our job because that goes back to that trusted advisor role. Same
Yeah.
thing if you with a client, you would say, well, what are the implications of this? If you make this decision, what might happen? Those are exactly the same things you'd ask in a business environment. So I'm
Right.
bringing all those skills to working with my kids.
Plus helping them to develop their decision making processes, right?
Correct. And the confidence in their decisions,
Yes.
which is huge. It's not just that. And they realize they continue to develop the confidence in themselves that they can make the decision. They don't always need to look to me, right,
Yeah.
to tell them what to do, which is
Mhm.
very important. Very important.
So other skills for the super women, which are the super now women that keep so many balls in the air and trying to do everything and enjoy the life as well and keep
Yeah.
their sanity. So what other things?
I would say, I think one of the critical things that if you're paying attention and if you're looking for what's great in this pandemic, right? Because as horrible as it is, right? I have lost a dear friend of mine, died the first week. One of my very close friends has been on the front lines as a nurse and has just the stories she shares with me are
Yeah.
so painful. So when I'm saying look for what's great, I'm not being Pollyanna. I'm not saying I don't think that there are horrible things out there. There are horrible things. So let me just preface it by saying that. And at the same time, we have the opportunity to see the gift in it. And
Yes.
one of the gifts in this, one of the gifts in it is that we have to slow down.
Yeah.
We don't have an option but to slow down. We're
Yeah.
in our homes, we have to adjust. And so
Yeah.
it's time for us to take, to kind of just notice what's different.
I'm just looking on my phone now because I remember I saw on Facebook something so cool.
Hmm.
Ah, okay. This is from Tanya Lynn Thomas was on her wall, and it says, Vitamin C. Traffic has gone. Fuel is affordable. Bills
Right.
extended. Kids are at home with their families. Parents are home taking care of their children.
Hmm.
Fast food replaced by home cooked meals. Hectic schedules replaced by naps, rest, and relaxation. The air seems cleaner. The world quieter. People are conscious about hygiene and health.
Hmm.
Money does make the world
Right.
go around anymore. Designer clothing, it's pointless as nobody ever really need it. Doctors and nurses are being praised and recognized instead of athletes and celebrities. And we now have time finally to stop and smell the roses. Amen. So it's I don't know the author, it's unknown, but how cool is that? I mean,
Absolutely.
the bed is very available, it's available, but so as the good, right?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
look for the
Right.
opportunity as well.
Right. Absolutely. You have to look for those things. And so as you're doing those things, right, that's the other thing too, and this was kind of implied in that post, but our finance, those of us that are working and have our kind of normal income, we've reduced our expenses dramatically, which is a
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful
Yes,
thing,
yes,
right?
absolutely. So growth is not only extra revenues, is also managing your finance or your
Absolutely.
costs. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I mean, that's dramatic. That's a dramatic change for most people.
yeah, and this is goes deeper because we realize how many things we really can live without.
Absolutely. And even for myself, somebody who I am not somebody who loves to cook. Okay. And consequently, I have to say my daughters are not great cooks. And one of the great gifts in this time was when we first got to this environment with the four of us in the house. And now all of a sudden, I am cooking like every day, you know, all the meals. And it was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't enjoy it. Right. There's some where I'm taking my time and exploring more, and there's some
Yeah,
I don't feel
yeah,
rushed to do it, right?
yeah.
Because I'm not rushing to get to the next thing
Mm-hmm.
as I
Mm-hmm.
was when the kids were in high school. So I do enjoy that, but I don't enjoy it enough. I have some friends who really are enjoying this. They really enjoy the cooking again, but it's really for me, I don't love it. But I also, because I'm always thinking of what lesson can I be teaching my children in this time? And one of the lessons is I've gotten one of these. I don't know if you have them in your country, Catalina, but we have these home meals where they send you a box and they have all the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
ingredients.
yeah, yeah. We have
Yeah.
them. We
Right.
have them.
So we've ordered those. And for 3 nights a week, my girls are cooking dinner.
Okay. Yes.
And what's great about it is they have a little index card with like all of or it's 8.5 by 11. It has all the ingredients. It tells you what to do. And they don't need much assistance to me. At the
Yeah.
same time, I am in the house. So if they want to say, Mom, I'm not sure about this or that, I can be there to counsel them.
Yes.
And
We do
one of
this
the things,
as well.
yeah, and what I know for sure is when we come out the other side, they are going to be much more
Of
confident
course.
and be much more able cooks. So that is a huge, huge blessing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And they appreciate more because children, they grow up and they tend to consider house as kind of hotel, right? When they teenagers grow up, they come,
right,
oh, it's the dinner is right. No, no, no. Actually, there is a lot that goes in running a house.
correct,
So there's a lot of new skills that they can learn with this.
absolutely.
What about meditation, mindfulness? How's your take on this? To maintain the sanity?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great one. To be honest, it's not something that has come easily for me. And yet, excuse me, I
That's what I'm
know,
asking you.
yeah, no, I know, but and at the same time, I know the benefit of it.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I had started to do before this, but now I very consistently, since we've been in pandemic, I actually use an app called Headspace.
Hmm.
And every morning, I get up in the morning, I have my water, then I go and sit down and I have the app and I do a 10-minute meditation every morning. And then I do journaling afterwards. And
Yeah.
then I do my schedule for the day. So that is so one of the things, again, that's part of my routine, right?
Yeah.
That gives me some structure to my day.
So, what have you noticed different in how you
Uh,
feel, in how you act based on the new routine that you have?
I would say I would say that um, it helps me to start my day from a place of calm. And for a long time, I've been the kind of person that sits down in the morning and writes down all the things I have to do. So I have a process. I've had that for years. So I write down all the things I have to do, and then I prioritize them. A's are the things that must get done. B's are the things that should get done, and C's are the things that would be nice to get done. And then I prioritize. So that I've done for a long time.
Hmm.
The difference between doing the meditation first is that it's kind of like anything else, Catalina. If you're in like an upset state, it's not a great place to make decisions from. And it's not that I was in an upset state before, but from a place of greater calm, right? You're more centered and it's going to enable you to really make the best decision from that place. So it's really the
Yes.
place I would say where any big decisions be made from a
Uh-huh.
state.
Hmm.
And so setting up my day for success is one of the things. Um, the other thing that I do is I walk every day, and I go for an hour walk every day.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, where I am, it's very cold. It's been raining a lot, and it's not necessarily comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And I made the decision to do it. One for in a way, that's a meditation as well. But what I do it for two reasons. One, because I want to make sure I'm getting some exercise. That's the only way I can exercise right now. I mean, I could do like an in-home gym or something, but I mean, it's the one thing I can consistently get up and do. And the other thing is that my father, who's in his 80s, has been home by himself. And so that's our time that we connect every day. So one of the things that we really all should be conscious of is who do we know who's living at home by themselves, and making sure that we're checking in with them and taking care of them.
That's very important.
And so for
Absolutely.
me, my father was that most important person. And to be honest, I've been very busy during the days. I'm taking this time to work on projects I haven't done, or some study that I haven't have wanted to do. And then but I make sure this is a priority.
Yeah.
And I don't care, like I said, if it's freezing outside, I might have my rain slicker on and whatever, but I'm still out there and I walk my dog
Awesome.
and we do that walk. So
Awesome. So, what else do you do for yourself to keep yourself sane and to grow during this period?
yeah, definitely taking this opportunity for some study and some courses, some things that I had wanted to do. Right now, one of the things I'm doing is Donald Miller's Marketing Made Simple coursework, which
Yeah.
is really
Online.
great. Yeah, online courses.
So, if you
Not
want to clarify your brand, your business story,
yes.
that's a
Right,
great one.
marketing made simple, and his whole thing is about clarity, right? And I can see even with my book, my book, it's like I love my
Can we
book,
see
I
your
love
book,
my
by the way? Can we see your
yeah.
book? Because
There's my book.
please don't, I just love your please don't come home except for a visit.
Well, I
That's
love it
good.
too, and it's meant to be kind of tongue in cheek. And anybody who knows me, I'm uber close with my girls, and they're welcome to come home. The point of this title was to say, don't come home and expect to live on my couch. If you want to come home for a period because you're in graduate school or you're working in something, you're always welcome. But if it's this idea of I'm going to come home and lay on the couch and not contribute, that's not okay, right? And this is about preparing children, your teens, so that they can be self-sufficient.
Yes.
That said, I am actually considering relaunching my book with a new title based upon what I've learned,
That's
from
good. Learn and
studying with
implement,
Mr.
bro.
Right,
Awesome.
exactly. So that's one of the things, and I know there's a ton of free coursework out there. that people can take advantage of. And I'm not personally doing any of those
Yeah.
in a very concerted, concentrated
Mhm.
effort. But
Yeah.
even this course is not very expensive. It's easy for me to sit at home, and I do.
Yeah.
It's like one of our needs, right, is to grow. One of our needs is
And
to grow.
that's one thing, and the opposite. Make sure that you don't go into the or all or nothing, black or white thinking, and then you just jump into and more, and the next shiny thing, and another course, and another. So we need to pay
Right.
a lot of attention and be
Yes.
discerning. Okay, we want to learn and grow, and not kill ourselves on the way. Because I
Absolutely.
see, if you have perfectionistic, I'm not talking about you, but general, if one would have perfectionist patterns and so would be like, oh, and this, or love of learning, very high. Oh, I
Yes.
would do this. And if you're not high in perseverance, for instance, you
Right.
start a lot of things and you don't finish them. Could be also a great strategy, to keep yourself satisfying the different needs of uncertainty or adventure. But
Right.
it's very important to be mindful. We have new routines, as you just said.
Right.
We learn new things. We do things differently. We do different things. So we be mindful how we approach life
Right. And
with
I would
this.
add one thing, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Catalina. The other thing I often have to work with my clients is to say the power of no.
Yeah.
And for me, the way that's played out, even in our own group, we have the opportunity to have some wonderful education from our peer group.
Yeah.
And when they started, those calls were at 5 o'clock my time. And frankly, that was just not a good time for me. At
No.
5 o'clock, and I tried to do it a couple times where I'm starting to cook dinner. And it was like, this kind of frantic. I'm trying to have the computer, and I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to, and it was like, oh
That's
my
the
God,
opposite of
I can't do
sanity.
that. Absolutely. And the whole idea that I want to pursue is, and I want to role model for my girls is I
Exactly.
want to be present with what I'm doing. So I choose as much as I'd love to participate in those calls, and I'm sure I could get a lot from them, I choose not to be on the calls because that's the time of day that I'm getting either just taking a break, but transition from the end of my workday to now family time, which I'm loving with my girls because I didn't expect to get this in their 20s. I didn't expect them to ever live with us again, right?
Yes.
So this
Yeah.
is like a huge gift for us. And so I take that time and I transition, and then I start kind of preparing dinner. Um, and it's just create a great sense of calm.
Yeah. And people talk about self care and, coming with the most craziest ideas. No, let's look at our routines. This is
Yeah,
self care,
right,
of learning to say no to that. So you
right.
say yes to an activity that is very important to you
Absolutely,
and
absolutely,
prioritize, right? So
absolutely.
this is self care. We don't
Yeah,
have to go and make crazy things to have self care, but just be more
absolutely.
mindful how we approach our routines, right?
That absolutely. I'm so glad you said that because listen, I would love to go get a massage. Wouldn't
Me
we
too.
all?
Me
Right?
too.
I'd love to
Yeah.
do it. And at
Yeah.
the same token, obviously that's not available to me
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But you're right. I don't have that sense of stress because I am so mindful. And I really and to be honest, sometimes people would prefer that I say yes to other things, but one of the things that I've developed over time is I am very good at saying no. Um, and I know that it's, as you kind of alluded to, it's not that I'm saying no to you, I'm saying yes to something else because I've
You say
taken the,
no to to the proposal, not to
yeah,
the person, right?
correct.
Has nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, it's easy for me to do because I have taken the time to prioritize what is most important to me.
Yeah.
And then when I say no to, you know, the proposal or something that we could do, it's because I have prioritized whatever else it is. And also, and to be honest, I would say even sometimes with people, I do an exercise at the end of every year where I really think about my friend group. And I have a process where I develop concentric circles and I say,
Yeah.
who are the people who are what I call my Fab Five? And it's
Yes.
not necessarily five people, but it mostly is five people. here are the 5 people that I can invest my time, which is
Yes.
my greatest resource,
Mm-hmm.
and money to a certain extent, but mostly time, and I can invest in them. Then I have my nifty 50 and my harmonious 100.
Yeah.
But when somebody in my harmonious 100 says, hey, Allyson, can you do X, Y, and Z? I may do it or I may not. But if I have the opportunity to connect with somebody in my Fab 5, I'm
Yes.
going to always choose that person. And it's
Yeah.
not even that I love them more. It just means that right now, our
In your
values, projects, whatever are aligned. And so it makes more sense. Because if I go with the person who's not in my Fab 5, then I'm denying this person who I've set as a priority for whatever reason they're a priority. And it doesn't mean that I don't love those other people. I do.
Yeah, and then you will be consumed with guilt and other emotions and that will suck off your life force.
Right.
So you deplete yourself of energy, not only time,
Right.
that you could
But again,
otherwise have.
it's a small mind shift. I don't have to feel guilty because I know if I've said no
Exactly.
to this person, it's yes to this person who I've already
Yes.
said is a priority. Right.
Mm,
Again, not that I don't love the people, and I do spend plenty
awesome.
of time and energy on those people. It's just, I think that, and that just, like you said, it just allows you to completely release any guilt or
Yeah.
stress to say
Hmm.
no.
Hmm. Awesome. Great strategies. Thanks a lot. Um, and shall we do this together an experiment for 2 minutes?
Okay.
And because I'm experimenting, I did this with one of my teachers in India, Krishna Ji, and I want to experiment, and with whoever wants to join us. It's a combination of tapping, but it's not talking. So
Okay.
let me know, just rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how you feel right now,
A 10, tell me.
emotionally, physically. One is very bad, 10 I feel, or one is, so let's say, one is very bad, 10 it's awesome.
I would say,
You don't have to tell me.
oh, okay.
Just, and
In my
let's do
head.
some
Okay.
tapping for 2 minutes in
Okay.
different point, and then let me know how's the number different. I'm curious because I'm
Okay.
experimenting this. It's sort of EFT, emotional freedom technique, but no talking.
Okay.
So yeah, so let's do this first. Start tapping on top of our head, and you can do it with eyes open or closed. Just choose whatever you want. Just feel the vibrations in your head. And move to the center of your forehead and do the tapping there. So not by the by your eyebrows, but in the middle of your forehead. Just take deep breaths. And now on top of our eyebrows, you can just take a look. And then with both of them, at the beginning of the eyebrow in the center. Same, continuing with deep breaths. Side of the eye. Under the eyes. And if you're watching us, just do with us and let us know how is different at the end of this exercise, how you feel differently. Under the nose. On the chin. And in the center of our chest. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. And when you're ready, open your eyes. That's about a couple of minutes.
It's
How
like it's hard to describe, like a very zen feeling, just a calmness, I would say.
and I see in your eyes, your pupils are different. You have your muscles are more relaxed. I can see. You
Mm-hmm.
feel it, huh?
Oh, I can feel
Awesome.
it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So that's another thing to keep our sanity. Thank you so much. Do you want one last thing to say to the people to keep our sanity while being super women, superman?
I think the final thing that I would say is make sure you have a community. Make sure you have a community of people who are like-minded,
Yes.
like-hearted, um, because I think in all times we needed support systems,
Yes.
and now more than ever.
Yeah.
And you might find it in the strangest of places. And I think it's one of the beautiful things about Facebook is that you can find that community virtually.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I
you're
hope you will
welcome.
come again to chat with us and help people everywhere. Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody who join us and journey with us. All the best. And see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Bye.
Bye bye.